Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into this really fascinating study. It's all about how generative AI is actually changing jobs. And let me tell you, the answer, it is probably not what you're thinking.
Okay, so this is the big question on everyone's mind, right? Will these new AI tools just help the superstars, make the best even better and just widen that inequality gap? For decades, there's been this pattern, this trend with new tech. It almost always seems to help a certain group of people more than others.
Yeah, we're talking about something called skill-biased technical change. It sounds academic, but it's pretty simple. Technology tends to boost the high-skilled workers, making them more productive and upping their pay, while the low-skilled workers don't see the same benefits. Think computers, the internet, that's the classic story. But what if generative AI completely flips that script?
Well, to find out, a team of researchers from MIT and Stanford did something awesome. This wasn't some sterile lab experiment. No, they got a real, behind-the-scenes look at a Fortune 500 company that was rolling out a brand new generative AI tool to its people.
And we're not talking about a handful of people. They studied 5,179 customer support agents. That is a massive amount of real-world data, showing us exactly what happens when this kind of tech hits the ground running.
So, how did it work? Well, the AI tool basically watched all the customer chats in real time, and it would pop up with suggestions on how the agent should respond. It's kind of like having a little super coach on your shoulder, whispering the best lines in your ear. And the agents? They could take the advice or just ignore it. Totally up to them. So, what was the result?
14%. On average, agents who had this AI assistant were able to resolve 14% more customer issues every hour. Now that's a nice little productivity bump, right? But, and this is a big but, that average number is hiding the real story here, the most incredible part.
Okay, get this. The entire productivity gain, every single bit of it, came from the new folks and the lower-skilled workers. They saw their performance shoot up by a massive 34%. And what about the experts, the top performers, the veterans? They got basically nothing, almost zero benefit. Isn't that wild?
So why? Why did the AI help the newbies so much, but not the experts? What's going on? Well, the AI wasn't inventing some brilliant new way to talk to customers. Nope, it was doing something way smarter. The researchers put it this way. Generative AI systems work by capturing and disseminating the patterns of behavior that characterize the most productive agents. In other words, the AI's real magic trick was learning all the subtle, intuitive stuff that the best employees do. You know that tacit knowledge? It's the stuff that's really hard to teach, the things you just know after years on the job. So here's how this digital mentor worked. First, it just watched the top-performing agents. It learned their communication patterns, their little tricks, all that unspoken knowledge of what really works. Then, it turned around and offered that knowledge up as real-time suggestions to everyone else. The result? New workers could basically absorb years of on-the-job experience incredibly fast.
And look at how this just supercharges the learning curve. An agent with only 2 months on the job, but with the AI, was already performing at the same level as a 6-month veteran who didn't have it. I mean, that is a huge shortcut to getting good at your job.
But it gets even better. The impact went way beyond just pure productivity. It actually started to change the entire work experience for these employees.
Let's compare. Without the AI, you had higher employee turnover, more frustrated customers, more people yelling, "I want to speak to your manager." But with the AI assistant, employee retention went up, customer sentiment improved, and get this, there were 25% fewer requests to speak to a manager. That tells you a lot about how much smoother things were going.
And this is huge for the employees themselves. Look at the attrition rate for new workers, people with less than 6 months on the job. Without the AI, about a quarter of them quit. With the AI, that number drops way down. That's because the tool made a really tough, often stressful job so much more manageable, right from the very beginning.
So let's just wrap up the key takeaways here. First, the AI boosted average productivity by 14%. But, and this is the big one, all those gains went to the new and lower-skilled workers, who saw a 34% jump. The AI acted like a digital mentor, spreading expert knowledge around. It sped up learning like crazy, and all of this led to happier customers and happier employees. This thing wasn't a superstar maker, it was a great equalizer.
But this leads to a really fascinating and kind of tricky new question. If an AI learns from your best employees to teach everyone else,
how should you compensate those top performers? They're the ones who provided all the valuable training data for the AI, but they didn't get any of the productivity benefits themselves. It really makes you think, doesn't it? It challenges our whole idea of what it even means to be a valuable employee in this new age of AI.